Journalist, public and political affairs analyst Charles Otu joins us virtually from Ebonyi State. Mr. Otu, thank you so much for coming on the program. Maybe you bring us up to speed as to the story we hear. So I did the quick read-up as to what played out. We understand that the gentleman had criticized the government, the general manager of that particular radio station. He talked about underperformance of the appointees of the governor. He talked about poor communication and one other thing. Well, we're not in Ebonyi State, we don't know the entire detail. So, but from what I've read, I'm trying to figure out why that is destructive and not constructive. So maybe we don't have the full picture. You live there, you work there. What exactly did the general manager say that necessitated a sanction such as suspension by his own radio station for criticizing government?
Thank you for having me. First is that I was the guest that featured in the interview of last week Friday with Godfrey Shikwere, the general manager of Legacy FM based in Ebonyi. It's a private-owned radio station, and regularly, from time to time, they invite discussants to discuss topical issues around the nation, particularly as it concerns Ebonyi. And in that particular instance, you cannot really say that this is what is destructive about what we said. I was the guest, he hosted me as his guest in the program. And for all intents and purposes, I was shocked when a few minutes after I read a press statement from the chief press secretary to the governor, saying that he went overboard and calling for NUJ sanction and the sanctions of other, I read through it and I said, really, could this really be coming from a chief press secretary to a governor, with his own pen and, signature, as though that was a policy statement? What was the criticism? What was the issue we talked about? Issues of governance, issues of administration, issues of lack of communication, issues pertaining to the governor giving a command and then going back to, not to follow up on those issues or others or commands he has given. And we were discussing particularly and very pertinently the issue of, call for inspection of vehicles which were given to appointees of the Ebonyi State government that had allegedly been sold. And the SSG to the state made out a public statement and said, look, today, that was that Friday, if you don't bring your vehicle, we are going to sanction you. And we were discussing around this. Will this be taken seriously, or will it be taken like the other orders of the governor that had been, utterly neglected by his appointees? And callers were calling into the program. We had a very fruitful conversation admonishing the government on the areas they are doing well and the areas they need to do more. And especially in the issue of communication, we were also expressing worry about how much Ebonyi has become every week one sad news, every week one bad press release, one press release trying to make the government look so unserious before very critical-minded minds. These were the issues we discussed in that program. And when I saw the chief press secretary issuing a statement saying that the government had been sponsoring the private station, it's been sustained largely by the actions of the government, pointing to allegations of providing generators, transformers, and tying the roads, doing all manner of public relations for the station to be able to cooperate with it. I wondered, I said, this is not a PR gone good. It is rather a public relations or even a press statement gone awry, because as we speak, we are having this conversation because of that same press statement by the chief press secretary to the governor. So these were the concerning issues that led. And then a few days after, or a few hours after, the Commissioner for Information, also issued a statement as though the damning press statement, which was so petty and too, direct, a kind of a direct attack on the personality of the general manager, was not enough. The Commissioner for Information also issued a similar statement, restating government's position that this is a final warning to Godfrey. And a few hours after, we heard about the station announcing the suspension of its manager.
So
the government could say, or they say that they are not behind it, but if the wish died in the night and the baby died in the morning, you could make your inferences as per what killed the baby.
So let's be clear. So we have reached out to the government of Ebonyi State to get their own side of the story as well, but we haven't gotten the response we needed. So if they show up, fine. But I want to find out from you, just before Bukola asks a question, the statements that were made, was it made by the general manager or it was made by you? Because I'm reading part of their statement that the suspension letter saying that this is due to the unruly behavior and disobedience to the code of conduct guiding Legacy FM. That's the Legacy FM now suspending their general manager. So the statements that were made, before we look at the import of it, was it made by you? Was it made by him?
Well, the statements were credited directly to him because he was the leading, a leading question, just the way you're leading me. He was leading me questions and I was responding, dispassionately, because I have no encumbrances, I have no, my belief is that Section 22 of the National Constitution, which empowers the media to hold the government accountable, agenda setting is generally the primary function of the media. And as someone who studied mass communication myself, I didn't see anything wrong in telling the governor. I have personally related with the governor on some issues of governance, where they are getting it right and where they are not getting it right, where things are not going rightly. And Godfrey only re-echoed the same things I said. And for all intent and purpose, I was thinking that this could have been left, aside. The station couldn't have even come up to say that its code of ethics or its code of conduct does not include, according to them, advising the governor on issues publicly. And it was for me, rather, as a media person, it was for me rather embarrassing because I don't know what else a station exists for, a private radio station for that matter. And let me be clear that there are only two private radio stations in Ebonyi, Legacy FM and Glorious FM. The both stations invite me. There is no week that will pass that I will not feature as a guest in any of the two stations. And when a radio station is now saying that it has a code of conduct that is outside, internally within it and outside the jurisdictional, constitutional role and, afforded the media in Section 22 of the Nigerian Constitution, the press should at all times hold government at all levels accountable to the government. At all times and at all levels. These are my own guiding principles in my own practice of journalism in Ebonyi. And if you know my history, I've done it for the past 14 years or nearly a decade and a half. Under the last government, I did it. I faced severe attacks, including physical attack on myself, and it didn't stop me. So I don't know where the station is manufacturing that code of conduct that is different from the constitutional powers of a radio station and media generally to hold government accountable to the people.
Well, Mr. Otu, if we get you correctly, you are asserting that following that press release by the Chief Press Secretary to the governor, that because they're funding Legacy FM, then they expect no less of support in their broadcast commentary. And you're saying
Definitely.
that is exactly what led to the suspension of Mr. Odo Jeffrey Chikwere. Well, would like Legacy FM to confirm or debunk this, but as we progress in the conversation, more often than not, there sometimes needs to be balance in broadcast commentary, particularly when it impacts not just on government, but any other second party in a subject matter. Do you see that come through in the broadcast of Legacy FM? Because some of the things that I'm reading about Mr. Odo Jeffrey on his socials is that he's a regular critic of the government, the governor, not just on radio, but also on his socials. So is there balance? Do you see balance? Do you see an attempt to bring in, the criticized second party, which is in this case now the government?
Okay, why not speaking for him? Because I'm not his spokesperson, but I know that I followed him because I also forgot to mention that the weight of the conversation around the suspension, even the chief press secretary's press statement and that of the Commissioner for Information, correspondingly deals more with his publications on his Facebook handles. And I've also been his follower for a very long time, as much as he's been in Ebonyi. I've followed him, and I also know that the same Godfrey has from time to time been accused by the masses too of, even defending the government and the governor, siding the government. Now, let me tell you the background to how Ebonyi Media, functions. It is a state where people feel that once you tell government the truth, no matter how much truth you tell the government, it is taken as unconstructive criticism. Unconstructive criticism in the sense that while they may not say it, they also don't want another party or anybody for that matter to say the same very things. I'll let you know about my encounter with some persons in government. A couple of commissioners they accosted me, put protocols across to say, look, why do you always report us to our principal, the governor? Because sometimes you say it on radio, no actions. You say it on your social media handles, no actions. You are forced sometimes to go to the place where such issues are calling attention, maybe roads, maybe damaged infrastructure, and maybe do a video like I have done in some instances and sent out to the governor. The good thing about the governor is that it's a good and bad scenario. He will not reply you to say, I've gotten this, but most of the times he will act on those things you pointed out. Some of the times you see the road, like one instance in mind now is a road at the Diamond Point Junction where I have sent out a video to the governor and called his attention and also spoken about it even on radio. Just a few days ago, they started work on that radio. I had done that privately to the Commissioner for Works, and no action was taken until after 3 weeks or 1 month. I came back to the same spot, and my car nearly got stuck in the same spot. I had to do a video to say, Your Excellency, I have sent this to your Commissioner, and there was no action, and it is still like this. As we speak, they are working on it. If this kind of criticism, could that be what you call a non-constructive criticism? So they understand the scenario that when it is another person saying it, they are not bothered. But most of the appointees feel that the people talking are not talking out of love or passion. Some even feel threatened that you want to take over their jobs. So, but we are just saying that, look, as I am here now, I'm not talking about what the state government has done, because there are multiple appointees who should have done that. But where are the appointees? Who are they talking to at the national television stations? Who are they talking to at the national newspapers? Who are they even talking to even on the social media platforms? So it has made with weakened opposition, because the owner of that station, Senator Binogba, is largely somebody who has been accused of handling contracts, mega contracts, on behalf of the government. So it brings me back to the question again: if the witch cried in the night and the baby died in the morning, how could the same people, the same station, the same owner say he has no hands in what happened to Godfrey, and it is not because of the pressure from government? So these are the issues that currently, the trend and perturbing in Ebonyi, as it were.
All right. As we coast home now, one thing is important, which would be for us to feel the pulse of the Ebonyi people, specifically as it has to do with the current administration, such that we can filter what is the disposition of the station, especially following this action through the suspension, seen in the suspension of Mr. Chikwere. Help us understand what the pulse of the Ebonyi people is as far as governance is concerned.
Okay, thank you so much. The people are not happy, generally speaking. A lot of government appointees who do nothing. When I say do nothing, there are 36 commissioners. As we speak, a little above the next 1 hour, you're not going to find any of them in any office. Practically half of them, or if not more than. And the unfortunate thing is, they don't also want you to say they are not doing the job they have been appointed to do. They're going to tell you that Wifuru is a good man, the masses believe yes, he has a good heart. Yes, I am not doubting it, like his appointees profess. But come to the issue, the thing you are appointed to do, are you doing it? The answer is that they are not doing it. Now, that puts me to the question you asked about the people. Generally, the Inside Politics program, anchored by Godfrey Chikwere every weekdays morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., is one of the programs through which a lot of issues have been raised. Pensioners have been, have brought pressure on the government to receive their pensions through those programs. And a lot of issues, the issue of multiple taxation, multiple IGR, there have always been coinages around programs that concerns and affects the Ebonyi masses. They have generally been the topical issues and dominant issues or dominant frame of issues around discussions on the Legacy FM station where I feature some of the times.
Okay.
And it can only go to say that even from the reaction of the wealth of reactions trending on the social media, the Ebonyi people are not happy with the suspension. They are also having the same feeling that it was because of the pressure brought by the government. How does a chief press secretary who has never issued a press statement on even topical national issues, and never issued a press statement when the SIG was accused of diverting 2.5 billion with even a court injunction from the Federal High Court saying, look, EFCC has frozen this account, go and account for how this money was found in your account. The state government never issued a press statement. It was just snippets of what the governor said that they could rely on to. In an issue as basic as that, the government never acted. Be it that it is now on an issue that is calling for attention where the attention of the government is needed, that a general manager of a station is suspended. So it is one on the part of the masses. They are not happy.
Well, with the allegations you just raised in the last part of your conversation, I'm sure that it's still an allegation. Perhaps they will respond to it. As we said at the beginning of this conversation, we had reached out to the government of Ebonyi State. We hope they will respond, because this is the second time in about 3 weeks Ebonyi is in the news for this kind of situation. The first was the suspension of commissioners and aides, and now the station suspending a general manager because of the commentaries we're talking about here. But almost thank you, Charles Otu, journalist, public and political affairs analyst, joining us from Ebonyi State virtually. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, when we come back after this break, we will be talking about the NYSC core member who has been in the eyes of the storm since the day she criticized President Bola Tinubu. She referred to him then as a terrible president that generated loads of controversy. And you know what spiraled out of control? Well, the latest, as far as that young lady is concerned, is to the effect that now she's not been given a certificate, a discharge certificate, because they've extended it by 2 months, and they gave their reasons as far as the NYSC is concerned. Well, Inibe Effiong, a lawyer, activist, will be joining us in just a moment to bring us up to speed as to what exactly is playing out here and what the law says as far as raised issues are concerned. Join us again in just a moment. We'll be right back.